from Slope Scout, and it is now late summer, and hopefully you've been making the most of hiking, biking, laking, beaching, whatever it is that people do during the warm and sunny months. But if you're anything like me, we're just all biding our time until we can slide on snow again. My inbox is starting to blow up with all sorts of reminders that we are now X number of days away from the beginning of the season, and we're going to talk about a few things that you can do. In fact, 5 things that you can do to prepare for the season right now. First of all, talking about passes. I've had the IKON, the Epic, the Indy, and the Mountain Collective, and I've got some perspectives there on how you can maximize those. We've also got some travel deals to talk about, whether or not to plan ahead and get the super deals on things right now, or whether to plan one of those last minute trips. Also talking about gear. Great time to get some super deals on either brand new or used equipment. We'll talk about some strategies for that. And then most importantly, the most important piece of equipment, you. We're going to talk about some things you can do right now to tune up for the season and whether or not you need to address some of those nagging injuries you may have. So stick around. Slope Scout Late Summer Edition starts right now. So if there's one lesson that you take away from this today, it is please do not pay ticket window prices. They've been catching a lot of headlines over the last couple of years because they just keep creeping up and up and up. Now, Vale, I love you. I'm just picking on you here because you were kind of the only ones brave enough to post any daily lift ticket window prices this early in the season. Take a look at that. $259 for an adult, $179 for a kid. So if you were taking a family of 4, mom, dad, 2 kids, look at that. $2,072 for the adults for 4 days, $1,432 for the kids for 4 days, for a grand total of over $3,500, and that's just for the lift tickets. So obviously, it's going to behoove you to save a few bucks here. And of course, our friends at the IKON, Epic, Mountain Collective, and Indy Pass want to help you. Now, the IKON is, of course, the OG of passes, and they take you to some really cool places. I mean, Steamboat, Copper, Mammoth, Schweitzer, Crystal, Snow Valley, Palisades, Tahoe, Winter Park. These are all great spots here, and they have unlimited access to those. Then they split it up and they say, okay, also these spots here, you can have 7 days. So Aspen, Jackson Hole, Sun Valley, Alyeska, like some fantastic deals. There's Alta, Sierra Tahoe, Big Sky. Summit Snoqualmie is my local place. Sun Peaks is the second biggest one in Canada after the Whistler. So this is definitely worth taking a look at. Val d'Aosta, yeah, they've been adding all these new places in Europe. Check this out. Kitzbühel, San Moritz, Chamonix, yeah. Now, Epic does kind of the same thing, but a little bit differently. So as you can see, their pass, what was it, around $1,400 for the IKON. The Epic starts around $1,075. Epic local pass is a great idea if you live or plan on riding a lot at places like Vail, Breckenridge. I think Whistler's got some options. Stevens Pass, I think, does as well. And then that Epic 4-day pass. In fact, Epic does it really well. You can buy anything from a 1 to a 7-day pass. We're going to take a look at that in just a second. But I like to think of Epic as kind of the bougier of the two. Now, of course, we already saw some pretty bougie stuff with the IKON Pass, but this is the kind of place that can take you to Park City. It can take you to Crested Butte, Keystone, Breck, Vail, Beaver Creek, and even Telluride kind of keeps it on the down low. But yeah, you could take your Epic Pass there if you happen to be way down in southwestern Colorado. California, North Star, Heavenly, Kirkwood. There's also some other spots off towards the east that you can take a look at. Canada, Whistler. And then another one that's a big favorite of mine, I believe that's on there, is Fernie. Oh, that's fantastic. And then if you happen to make it to Quebec, then get in on some of that as well. So that's kind of the difference between the two. They, by the way, also have a lot of European options, Switzerland, Austria, Italy, France. So if you're planning on heading in that direction, take a look at that. It could really save you a lot of money or just entice you to go on some amazing vacation. They also have some Japanese and some Australian options there as well. Now, taking a look at the IKON base pass, again, this is the one that's kind of down from their full offering, and it's a little bit more in line with what the Epic Pass offers. It's about $1,000. We'll take a look at that. And this is unlimited, again, at a bunch of places like Winter Park, Palisades, Snow Valley, Tremblant, Stratton in Vermont, Solitude Mountain, Mountain in Utah. And then they have 5 days instead of 7 at a lot of really fantastic places. So again, for $1,000, you get 5 days at select destinations. This is also something worth looking into. They've really kind of perfected it now. And again, Kitzbühel, St. Moritz, Val d'Aosta, and then that's $1,000 for the adult, $739 for a young adult up to 22. So college kids can take advantage of that. Now, IKON has these passes that can be 2, 3, or 4 days total. I've bought these before, and these can be fantastic if you and your friends are going to one specialized place, like say Steamboat, for example, or Schweitzer, or I don't know, pick anywhere on here, Mount Bachelor in Oregon, and you don't want to pay those full ticket window prices. They'll allow you to kind of toggle it and figure out, do you want to do 2, 3, or 4 days, and then do you want to do it during prime time? Do you want to do it during off season? If you're planning on going to Revelstoke, for example, I know for a lot of people that's kind of a big lifetime thing. You can go down to Chile, Valle Nevado. That'd be amazing. So they kind of start, around $329, depending on 2-day, 3-day, or 4-day. That looks like the 3 days around $400. The 4-day gets a little bit closer to $500, but some simple math is telling you that that's just a shade over $100 a day. It would be like what, $125 a day. So again, huge savings there depending on where you're going. Now the folks at Epic Pass do kind of the same thing, but they've really parsed it out so that you can do a lot of things with your Epic Day Pass. They ask you a lot of questions. Do you want to go on peak dates? Do you want to go to all resorts? Do you want to go to just some of the resorts? So in this particular example here, all resorts off peak, 4 days is going to run you around $443. So again, what, like $120 a day? Back that off to the 22 resorts. Make sure that it's on your list here. You'll notice that the options go down, but you can just toggle around here so that you can get it into a place where, if you're planning on not going on peak dates, which I highly recommend, around peak dates it's packed and everything's super expensive and hard to get into, you can kind of just choose your own adventure here. So I would say that Epic does a lot better, and look at that, all the way up to 7 days if that's what you choose to do. So again, look at some of these options, make sure the little check mark is lit up for you based on where you want to go, and take a look at doing that. Okay, so if you haven't heard of this one's a little bit outside the box. It's been around for a few seasons now, and it's called the Mountain Collective. And basically what they do is, obviously, it's a lot cheaper for starters, $670, a lot fewer destinations, and this is just 2 days each, no blackout days. So again, if you are planning on going at Christmas or New Year's or, any of the holidays, again, you don't have to worry about that. And the list that they have is really impressive. If you're planning on going somewhere amazing, like say Big Sky or Jackson Hole, there's a lot of options in Utah. And then, of course, they've got some incredible options worldwide. In Canada, in Japan, in Chile. Again, if you want to go to Australia or France, this can be really fantastic. And it's kind of a sleeper and a really good deal. And finally, this is something that's kind of intriguing me. In fact, this is the second season I've had this one. It's called the Indy Pass. Basically does the same thing as Mountain Collective, but as the name implies, these are all independent resorts, or kind of what I like to call mom and pops. They're not big bougie resorts, but man, do they have a lot of them. In fact, 270 plus on 4 different continents, and they do basically the same thing as Mountain Collective. 2 days, and then of course you can get like a 3rd day at a discount or something like that. But these are a lot of independent resorts. So that's actually what we're going to be focusing on quite a bit this season on Slope Scout. Take a look at that. Prices? Wow. They've got the Learn to Turn thing, which is at a few select places, but $189 for 3 days of lessons and tickets. Take a look into that. Indy Base Pass is $449, or let's just round that up to $450 for grown-ups, $299 for younger adults and kids. They have some options. If you already have a pass at one of their partner resorts, you can just kind of do the Indy add-on, and that'll save you a few bucks, and that'll get you out. I plan on hitting a bunch of these this year, and as you can see, there are a bunch of offerings. Now, I'm just kind of showing you everything here just in one lump sum, just to impress you and overwhelm you with how many choices there are. But if you live in a specific region, like for example, I'm in the Pacific Northwest, I've got probably 20 resorts or hills or whatever you want to call them that are within 1 or 2 days drive. So I'm planning on hitting a bunch of these as we go into the winter season. So this is one definitely worth taking a look at. And again, it could save you a lot of money over ticket window prices. Ski travel. You want to do yourself a favor? Book a ski trip. Who doesn't love a ski trip? It's where memories are made. They can be wonderful. The big question is, do you plan ahead or do you do last minute? Well, if you are one of those people who needs to plan ahead, and you know what, bless you, you can lock in those deals. You can have a whole lot of certainty as you go into this season. So some of the pros of booking now are, first of all, the supply and demand curve, lowest cost, best selection, and the certainty that you have got that day or week or whatever it is locked in. So you got something to look forward to, and you can kind of check that off your list. It lowers your anxiety a little bit. So it's definitely a great way to do it, and there's lots of great deals this time of year. Some of the cons, though, low flexibility. Sometimes when you get locked into something, if more people want to join you, for example, or if somebody falls out and can't make the trip, sometimes these trips, when you book them this far in advance, can be non-refundable, especially plane tickets. So definitely read the fine print and make sure you factor that in. And then the other thing too, sometimes Mother Nature doesn't care about your plans, and there may or may not be snow there waiting for you. So you also kind of have to factor that in, which again makes a last minute trip somewhat appealing just for that reason, because what you can do is go chase that snow. When you hear or see a big storm taking place in a certain area, you and your friends can kind of jump on it and go attack that. So obviously the pros there are the highest flexibility. You kind of wait and see where the snow is falling and go there. You're not locked into anything. So again, you're not worrying about whether it's refundable. You're just kind of doing it last minute. And of course, the thing we're all looking for, the best powder chances, or the opportunity to at least have good snow waiting for you when you get there. Now, some of the cons there, of course, can be the opposite of what they are when you're planning ahead. Highest cost, because again, you're kind of doing it last minute. Sometimes plane tickets and hotel rooms can be expensive when you're trying to book it last minute. You could possibly get the lowest selection because again, some early birds already luckily picked that particular date, but also other storm chasers may be trying to get in on that as well. So a place is quiet one week and then it suddenly becomes very active the next week. So selection might be a problem. And then of course, if you're chasing snow, you have to be aware of the fact that there could be active weather. So flights get delayed or canceled. So when you get your rental car, then sometimes it's really difficult to get from the airport to the venue. And so you have to also be really aware of that and try and get there before the storm hits or far enough afterwards that that's not an issue. Hands down, in my personal opinion, the worst times to travel are early season. So sometimes, everybody tries to be open by Thanksgiving. Sometimes that doesn't really work out. Snow's kind of still sparse, or the big first storm hasn't happened yet. That can also happen to you in December as well. Christmas and New Year's. So if you want to have a Norman Rockwell Christmas around the hearth and you want to gather the whole family for Christmas, don't let me stop you from doing it. But that's when prices are going to be at their highest. That's when demand is going to be highest. And of course, those are blackout dates. As we saw in some of those passes earlier, they sometimes say, hey, no, you can't come during prime time because that's when we're making our big money. So I try to avoid Christmas and New Year's. Holidays as well, especially some of those ones in January and February. That's when prices are at their highest. But also, there's going to be a lot of people there. So to me, I just try and stay away from the big resorts or even sometimes my local resorts. That's a good time to go touring. My very favorite time to travel is late season. My number one favorite time to book a trip, the month of March. And here's why. There's a variety of reasons. It's kind of drop off. Sometimes people are injured. They've been skiing 2-3 months at that point. I hope that's not you, but that kind of happens. Fatigue. There's a lot of people who've already skied 10, 20, 30 days. They're tired. They want to go ride their mountain bike or go golfing or something. Switching gears to gear. See what I did there? This is also a really fantastic time to be shopping for gear. So there's a couple of ways to do it. Retailers are quite often trying to get rid of last season's gear to make room for the new gear. So there's some really good deals if you shop around some of the retailers. This is the absolute last chance for them to kind of push last year's stuff out the door. So sometimes the markdowns on brand new gear are fantastic. On top of that, this is the season for ski swaps. If you are blessed and fortunate enough to live in a place where people swap skis and ski gear, man, The most important thing, though, is to know what you want before you go, because when you get there, these things are huge. There's a lot of people. It's kind of a scrambly atmosphere. So do your research in advance. Get really clear on what it is that you want so that your head doesn't start spinning when you go there. Know what size skis you're looking for. Know what size boots you're looking for. Know what size poles you're looking for. What type of ski, boot, pole, snowboard are you looking for? So again, if you do a little bit of research in advance, it really cuts down the stress factor when you go to one of these places. Also, on top of that, big fan of Facebook Marketplace. Again, if I'm looking for something very specific, I go there, I type it in the search bar. I can set a reminder so that if it pops up on Facebook or eBay, I get a little notice telling me that, hey, those vocal mantras you've been looking for are now waiting for you. On top of that, there are places like Sideline Swap. Powder 7 has been very good to me because they quite often, I don't know how they do it, but they have this kind of pipeline on demo skis. So if you just want some great skis that are already mounted and ready to go, these folks have a ton of them. So again, good time to be shopping around for some gear. And finally, you. So, we were talking about this at the beginning here, where this is a great time of year to maybe address a couple of things. First of all, your fitness. I've been laughing because just every day, Michaela Schifrin and Lindsey Vonn seem to pop up in my feed, and they're doing things that make me feel kind of dumb compared to the little workouts I'm doing at the gym. And then every once in a while, I have to remind myself, oh yeah, they are elite athletes. I am not. This is their job. This is what they do. So, but it is inspirational. In fact, it really kind of makes me step up my game. So one thing is, to make sure that you're kind of doing stuff that keeps you in check. Hiking, biking, really fun and smart things to be doing right now. And if you're not already doing a little bit of a calisthenics program, jump some rope, start going to the gym. Starting in September and October, people are going to really ramp up. And I'm not the person to give you all of that advice, but there are plenty of people online who are willing and happy to help you do that. The other thing, too, is injuries. So for a long time, I've been racking up injuries. I had a torn meniscus in my knee. I had a torn ligament in my hand. I've had ongoing problems with my back, and I've just kind of endured. And then finally, last year, I decided that I was going to just dig into all of these things, address them, and fix them. It's been a lot of work. I had surgery. I've done a boatload of physical therapy. I have been doing all sorts of exercises at home, but I am here to tell you that is 1,000% worth it. So the meniscus surgery that I had was in October, and the way that I planned it with my surgeon was so that I could be back on skis by December. We worked out a plan. We had the surgery. It went well. I did the physical therapy. I got into a training program. I started eating really well. I started taking good care of myself. And son of a gun, when the snow started flying in December, I was there for it. Had kind of a limited season, but still, I was very, very grateful for it. So if you have some nagging injuries or you have something physically that you need to address, there's still plenty of time to do that. Make a plan. Talk to a doctor. Can't recommend physical therapy enough. So there you have it. Hopefully I gave you some helpful information and some stuff to think about that'll maybe help you plan for the next ski season, up your stoke level a little bit. In the meantime, I'll be doing the same thing you're doing, watching all my social media feeds of people riding in amazing snow and going through some old GoPro footage and watching the calendar and the thermometer, waiting for that moment where I can click on my boots again and click into my bindings and slide on snow once more. This is Mike Everett from Slope Scout. Enjoy the rest of summer and fall, and we'll see you on the slope soon. Soon, my love, soon.